Here we are on My Plug Life, and we finally have it in Canada, speed limits. Now, previously, I mentioned in the last update, we didn't have the speed limit signs appearing on the screen on the Tesla, but now we do. Finally, we are caught up to the Americans on this. Let's take a look at what else is on the update and see what's in store for all you guys that haven't hit that button yet. So first up on this update are speed assist improvements. Now, up to this point, the car has had a map that would tell it what speed to go in certain areas. Now it can actually read the signs on the road and help it to determine how fast you really should be going in that area. So we're going to test that out shortly, see how well that works. It'll also give you a visualization of it so you can see that it's working. Second up is a priority Bluetooth device. Now this is going to prioritize whichever Bluetooth you have it set for. So if two people are walking up with their Bluetooth devices, it'll be able to figure out which one is going to be the one hopefully sitting down in the driver's seat on the majority of the time. I'll show you how to do that quickly. So we hit the Bluetooth button on the corner. Then we can choose the phone we want to set to. So I'll click the S10. We'll set priority device here. And it's also going to give you a little orange star next to it. So now it's going to prioritize that phone. So if you're listening to music or something like that, it'll prioritize that as well as the seat profile settings. So last up on this update is a Glovebox PIN. Now in this one, you can set a 4-digit PIN, so your glove box cannot be opened unless you have that PIN. I'll show you how to do that. You click the little car icon, we go to safety and security, and we scroll down to below PIN to drive, we have Glovebox PIN. We enter a number, and now it's saved. So now, if we decide we want to use the glove box, we hit the button, glove box, it requires a PIN, and it opens the glove box. Now you also need this PIN if you want to disable that PIN. So if it's not working and you need to have it reset or something, you're going to have to contact Tesla service in order for them to reset it. But let's go try out the road stuff, see what that looks like. All right, here we are late at night, hunting down speed limit signs like I never thought I would. Where are we going to see one next? So I think there's one coming up here on the right. Oh, I can see it on the right side. Don't show up on the screen though at all. No, I went past it, nothing. But I guess that's one lane over. Maybe it doesn't show that far over. All right, so up ahead, there's another one on the right-hand side. This one is not a lane over. It's maybe a half a lane over. So I can see it no problem. And it looks like the car's picking it up. Bit far to the side though. So just after making this turn, there is a speed limit sign, which I can barely see. It's blocked by trees on the right-hand side here. And it shows up. I can see it. Wow, that's pretty good. I could barely see that myself. So up to this point, there's been a map-based system, so the car would know how fast to go in certain zones. So with the ability to visually recognize the speed zones, it allows it to speed up or slow down appropriately. Now, coming down this hill, we're doing a 60-kilometer-an-hour zone, and I know that the map had been wrong. It had mistakenly thought that it stays a 60-kilometer zone for a very long time after this. So at the bottom of this hill, there's a sign that says you're allowed to go 70 kilometers an hour. Now, previously, it wouldn't, of course, see the sign, so it wouldn't make any change whether or not to speed up or slow down. It would just maintain what it had in the map. So let's see what happens when it actually sees this sign, or if it continues to use the internal map-based system. So the sign's coming up here on the right, 70 kilometers an hour. Displays the sign and changes the speed. Excellent. This is a good thing. Finally, I don't have to go through this area so slow. So that's the major test for me. I had a chance to see a bunch of different areas that I knew already worked, but that was the big one I've been waiting for. So I know it actually does something now, instead of just saying it's doing something. So there's a few more things added to this that we don't see on the Model 3. For example, on the older Model S and X's, they added the ability to modify the speed differently. I don't have an example, so I don't quite know how that works, but it's for those older cars. They added the ability to vent the windows on some of the Model S's. I'm assuming this is the older ones. Of course, you have to update the app in order to get that to work. And then the charge port inlet heater, where you put the charge port in. Here in Canada, we get a little bit of ice on it sometimes, and it gets a little frozen. They have a way to heat it up to defrost it, so that way it doesn't get as frozen. But this is only on some of the Model 3s. I think it's on all the Model Ys, but just some of the Model 3s. So they're making a switch over on hardware on there. So if you've got one of the older Model 3s, you're not going to be able to do this at all, nor the S and the X. But all this stuff is really good. I'm glad to see these updates. The ability to have the speed limit signs on the screen is kind of neat. It's pretty small on there, so I didn't really like it for that, but I guess having it in the top corner is good enough. It's just hard to see with the visualization. But the intention for all these updates for full self-driving has to do with Tesla's opinion is that when it enters an intersection, it's going to be basically the first time it recognizes that intersection and how it all works. So this is as opposed to Waymo and the Google Alphabet, whatever, and all these other full self-driving guys. What they're doing is they're making the system to be measured every intersection that they're ever going to drive in down to the centimeter. Now, this is a huge file. I couldn't imagine how crazy it would be to have this on a computer in your car. That's a lot of processing power, a lot of hard drives. I don't know how that's all going to work. And I think Elon's thinking the same thing. Instead, what you have is a situation where the car can recognize everything around it and make a decision based on that. Now, we as people get used to certain intersections, so we learn them over time. But for the ability to learn it at a snap of a finger right away is kind of key to reduce the amount of energy it takes to do this kind of driving. And as well, it's going to save on all the hard drive space and issues. So thanks for checking out this video on My Plug Life, and I'll see you in the next update.